Hello and welcome to Out of Our Box. I'm Ricky and I'm here with my co-host and very good friend Aaron. How are you?
All good, thanks, man. You?
I'm very good. On Out of Our Box, we delve into some of the most intriguing mysteries and conspiracies in history. Today, we're tackling the most notorious event of the 20th century, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This event has sparked countless theories and debates over the years. One of the biggest questions that continues to haunt people is whether or not there was multiple shooters involved in the assassination. The official story points to Lee Harvey Oswald as a lone gunman, but many people believe there was a larger conspiracy at play. Numerous witnesses reported hearing gunshots coming from different directions, leading to speculation that Oswald could not have acted alone. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the CIA, the mafia, or even the Soviet Union may have been involved with the assassination. Others believe that Kennedy was killed part of a larger government cover up. So, who really killed JFK? The truth may never be known for certain, but one thing is for clear: the assassination of President Kennedy remains one of the most hotly debated and controversial events in American history. So,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah, I think you'd have to say that this, the Kennedy assassination, is probably the most famous conspiracy subject that people like to think of conspiracies about. Is this and the moon landing, I think, are the two major ones.
They got this, the moon landed, and 9/11. I think
Yeah,
I think that's the three
that's a strong top three.
that's the three biggest in America, and we may touch on them points in the future. Well, not may, we
Yeah.
will touch on them points in the future because this is what it's about. But as for JFK, on November the 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated while traveling in a motorcade in an open-top limousine in Dallas, Texas. Yes, and President Kennedy is obviously assassinated in his motorcade, passing the Dealey Plaza in downtown Dallas. John Connolly, riding in the same car as Kennedy, is seriously wounded. Yeah, as you said, this is an event that's gone down in history and got lots of debate and has sparked lots of conspiracies.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that I'm sure people who are alive, that like we kind of do with 9/11, everyone talks about where they were when it happened, and it even inspired a line in a really famous Guns N' Roses song, is in
Yep.
Civil War.
It did. The Warren Commission, it was set up by order of President Johnson to investigate the assassination, concluding that Kennedy was killed by a lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, firing from the sixth floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Although the report was widely accepted at first, skepticism grew as more information concerning possible conspiracies leaked out. Oswald denied having anything to do with the shooting at all, let alone being part of any conspiracy, but he was killed and silenced 2 days after the assassination while in custody of the Dallas police. Hmm.
Yeah,
Very, very suspicious.
yeah. So, but one of the things is after Oswald allegedly shot Kennedy, he went back to his house to retrieve a pistol and then killed a police officer, J.D. Tippit, shortly afterwards,
Okay. I wasn't aware
allegedly.
of
Yeah.
that. Very odd.
Yeah, and around 70 minutes after Kennedy and Connolly were shot, Oswald was apprehended by the police and then charged under Texas state law with the murder of Kennedy and Tippit. 2 days later, at 11:21 on November 24th, 1963, on live television,
Wow.
Oswald is being moved through the Dallas police headquarters where he's shot by Jack Ruby. So he's only in custody for 2 days before he meets his own untimely demise.
And do we know why he was shot?
Well, Jack Ruby was the rumors are he was a nightclub owner and he took out Oswald, but the rumors are that he had links to the mob, but not really sure why he would have any stake into taking out Oswald himself. But then it gets even weirder when Ruby's convicted of Oswald's murder and then load of decisions overturned on appeal. Ruby later dies in prison while awaiting trial.
If there's anything to spark conspiracy, it's just
When a lot of people just started turning up dead for no apparent reason, it does raise suspicions.
it does. One event could spark the conspiracies, but then there are multiple, and there's lots more as we'll get into. And
Well, this just it feels like dominoes falling, doesn't it? It's like someone's trying to cover some track somewhere, and then oh no, this has gone wrong. Got to get rid of this guy. He knows too much.
it seems like they're still doing it today in some events.
Yeah, definitely.
But when dressmaker Abraham Zebruda brought his camera to the President John F. Kennedy's motorcade passing through Dallas, Texas, in the plaza on November the 22nd of 1963, he could never have suspected that he had witnessed an assassination or that his home movie would become one of the most watched and examined movies of all time. The film was used as evidence in a case against Lee Harvey Oswald, who allegedly shot Kennedy. When the Warren Commission issued the report of the assassination in 1964, it concluded that Oswald was definitely behind the president's shooting. When we get into it, I don't know how they can from the footage. I mean, we've all seen the video.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most. It's not even just it's just in folklore that video. Just it's everywhere, isn't it? Like you see clips of it quite
yeah,
commonly in all sorts of documentaries and news clips. And considering it's just a handheld cam footage from a spectator, and this to be used so heavily in convicting someone of a murder.
the pace was like, yep, I watched the video. It's 100% Lee
Yeah,
Harvey Oswald. Like, I don't see it from it, but obviously they did. And we'll get into the single bullet theory. The first theory on it is also known as the magic bullet theory. It was introduced by the Warren Commission in its investigation of the assassination to explain what happened to the bullet that struck Kennedy in the back and exited through his throat. Given the lack of damage to the president's limousine, consistent with it having been struck by a high velocity bullet, and the fact that the Texas governor, John Connally, was wounded and was seated on the jumper seat 1.5 feet in the front and slightly to the left of the president. The commission concluded that they would likely struck by the same bullet.
mm.
This theory is also known as the Warren Commission Exhibit 399.
Yeah.
Caused all the wounds to the governor and the non-fatal wounds to the president, which totals up to 7 entry and exit points of both men.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. I know one of the things theorized was it passing through Kennedy and the bullet shattering as it hit bone, and then that caused the bullet to break up, and then as it came out the other side, hitting everyone else and causing so many. But then that doesn't account for all of the other injuries from the back.
7 and entry and exit wounds.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that would need one entry in there.
yeah, it's a ricochet of sorts.
Yeah,
It's a big ricochet.
it
Yeah,
definitely lends credence to if there was another shot and it's hit something else, and then that causing the other entries.
yeah. Well, the theory says that the 3 centimeter long bullet fired from the sixth floor of the Texas School Depository passed through President Kennedy's neck into Governor Connally's chest, went through his right wrist, and embedded itself in Connally's left thigh. If
Wow.
so, the bullet traveled through a back brace, 15 layers of clothing, 7 layers of skin, and approximately 15 inches of muscle tissue, and pulverized 4 inches of Connally's rib and shattered his radius bone. That's a
That's a lot of damage for one bullet.
lot of damage for one bullet to inflict.
I mean, I don't know a lot about guns, but you think it going through one person is going to slow down the speed of a bullet quite considerably.
Yeah, yeah, it will. And even so, its final conclusion, the Warren Commission found persuasive evidence from the experts that a single bullet caused President Kennedy's throat wounds and all of the other wounds found in Governor Connolly. The single bullet theory was essential for the Warren Commission conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I don't know about you, but it seems very. I mean, I believe there was three bullets fired that they
Yeah,
say from the gun. Yeah, so that it was the single bullet that hit Kennedy, Connolly, and killed Kennedy and injured Connolly.
yeah. And then from what I read, the United States House Select Committee on Assassinations concluded that there's a high probability that two gunmen fired on Kennedy, with them finding that what they're basing their thoughts on is coming from a dictator belt recording of a Dallas motorcycle policeman's microphone, which appeared to show four shots fired. But then, obviously, thinking of the technology back then, this sort of how are you picking out all of these shots off of a single 60s radio and
Yeah,
microphone? It's not like we've got crystal clear audio.
that's true.
But
Yeah,
that's one of the theories that led to them believing in the shooter coming from the grassy knoll, which is something we'll go
yes,
over.
we shall get into that. Yeah, the first preliminary report of the assassination issued by the FBI on the December 9th of 1963 said three shots rang out, two bullets struck President Kennedy, and one wounded Connolly, which reflected the early presumption that the bullet had only penetrated several inches of the president's back and had likely fallen out. The FBI concluded, therefore, the governor was struck by a separate bullet. You had obviously the Warren Commission that came to the conclusion that it was a single bullet, but in the first report issued said that all three bullets struck.
Three definitely sounds more plausible than one to me,
Yes.
given the damage.
From the video and where the gunman shot him from, I don't know, and we'll get into the way that they say that Kennedy, how he first was hit with a bullet and how the bullet hit him and his head went
Mm,
the opposite way to what it should have been.
what you would expect, yeah.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah, definitely. Even just the way they react. Jackie Kennedy, she seems to look the opposite way at first, and you think, well, she's looking firsthand, and then why does she think that it's coming from somewhere else, not where the legally they consider where the shots come from?
Yeah, the single bullet theory seems very suspect to me, if I'm being honest.
No, if anything, that lends credence to people who think it was a cover up from the CIA, because it seems like a convenient way to just tie everything up to one person who's no longer around.
Yeah, that is it. That's the perfect way to explain it
Yeah,
because they had to have the one bullet theory to pin it on
yeah, put it
Lee
on
Harvey Oswald.
Oswald and
Yeah,
not having any other shooters, and then him being dead, and along with the person who killed him,
yeah.
dead men tell no tales.
They don't. We shall get into the grassy knoll shooter, which
Yeah.
is a bit different. The grassy knoll is a small sloping hill inside the plaza of the shooting. The knoll was above Kennedy and to his right. The north grassy knoll is adjacent to the Texas School Book Depository building. The theory maintains that there was one and possibly two gunmen at ground level in the plaza. A number of eyewitnesses claimed they heard gunfire coming from the grassy knoll, but nobody actually saw a gunman and no shells were ever recovered.
I would say this is probably the biggest theory that people agree on the most, is people thinking this second shooter was definitely located on the grassy knoll.
Yeah, but seeing as people died afterwards and lots of things, well, many things got covered up, the no shells was ever found. Could have been. I mean, I suppose the FBI had a different report in the beginning, so I don't know
Yeah,
if they went and looked and didn't find gun shells or did find gun shells or
yeah. Well, you don't know if they did find them and they didn't report them.
so you don't know. But yeah, but eyewitnesses claim that they heard gunfire coming from that direction, and a report basing its findings on the autopsy and the forensics report concluded that two bullets struck Kennedy. Three shots were fired, all from above and behind the target. The first missed. The second, the so-called magic bullet, passed through Kennedy and tore into Governor Connolly, causing all his wounds. And the third shot, the the killing one, exploded into the right side of Kennedy's head. Conspiracy theorists point to the impossible trajectory of the bullet and to the Zabruder film, which shows Kennedy's head snapping backwards as the fatal third shot takes off in the right side of his head, as evidence that shots come from more than one direction. I
Yeah,
know
I would definitely agree with that.
I know he had the back brace on, didn't
Yeah,
he? It's his back, but yeah. So the film does depict the his head. Can't get shot by one bullet in your head going two different directions.
yeah. It just doesn't make sense, does it?
It doesn't at all. If I lean to a way, I'd lean to the video. It's more plausible that there were multiple shooters.
Yeah. And then with the grass knoll as well, there's a couple that were there with their kids, Bill and Jean Newman. And there's a picture of them dropping to the grass to cover their children. And then when interviewed afterwards, the Newmans both said that the fatal shot sounded like it came from the garden behind them on the grassy knoll.
Yeah. There's witnesses, man.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not just like a one or two, there's a lot. Because obviously the place was packed to see like the president there in their hometown. So it wasn't one or two people around, there's hundreds.
Yeah, yeah. In essence, three bullets were fired from the sixth floor window at the southern east corner of the book depository. Kennedy was struck once in the upper back and once in the head and slumped over onto his wife, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. Texas Governor Connolly's was also in a limo with his wife and was shot in the back. He later recovered from his injuries, but the investigation after the shooting found that one of the bullets had in fact missed.
It's a very big mess.
It's a very big mess. There's definitely cause for two shooters, and I think the Warren Commission coming up with one shooter. That is it. Done, dusted. Two people die
Yeah,
afterwards. As you said, dead men tell no tales, and
yeah,
it's it's gonna forever be one of the biggest conspiracies ever in America's history.
yeah. I would say even in the world history, it's like
Yes,
it's
in the
probably
world's history.
the most famous assassination, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think so. It's up there because when you hear the word assassination,
Yeah, you automatically think of that.
yeah,
Well, I do, yeah.
yeah, so do I. You
I
do,
mean,
and
a
I think
couple have tried recently to get a new one, but
yeah, yeah, failed so far, but
yeah,
there's still time, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think the word conspiracy wasn't in public domain then as well, and I think
Yeah,
it got created for this this event.
yeah. I think it was one of the big turning points of people not taking what the government was telling them for really the first time, or at least expressing those beliefs in the mainstream and telling other people.
Yeah, man, definitely. As I said, it's whether for go down in history as one of the biggest conspiracies, and yeah, I would like to know what others think
Yeah,
of
definitely.
the
I'm sure that we only just touched on a few of the theories. There's hundreds of them out there that I've watched videos and listened to podcasts about.
yeah.
And you could do a week's worth of podcast discussing it.
You could. Yeah, there's lots. There's different avenues you can go down with the likes of afterwards. as I said, the mob, the CIA, the Soviet Union. And I
Yeah.
said everyone involved. There's different avenues that's gone down and things that come out afterwards that was very, very suspicious. And
Yeah, the Soviet links were interesting because they claimed that could have been attached to the Soviets because he'd visited Russia before.
yeah,
But that kind of feels like that could be the CIA saying that to have a foreign actor, and then that gives them cause to blame it completely on Oswald.
yeah, yeah, because he defected to Russia, didn't he? And then
Yeah,
he come back to America with a Russian wife,
yeah,
didn't? And yeah, I believe he had a child with her. But he was Oswald was a bit of a character himself, wasn't he? He was a bit of a like outlaw to himself, so
yeah.
to speak.
Odd
So
law.
yeah, so they sort of picked the right character. If
Yeah,
they
he suited their motive completely.
100% he did, he definitely. Who knows? We'll never know.
No,
Um, it's a huge conspiracy, and I'd love to hear what other people think of the conspiracy. And I'd like to get I'd like to go for it again and get someone on with lots of knowledge about it and um,
yeah,
speak to someone that has investigated it in depth.
yeah, or written a book about it. It would be good to talk to someone.
That'd be very good. Yeah, because we obviously we go through lots of these conspiracies because we look, but we've only got a part knowledge about it. I mean, we listen to stuff and
Yeah,
watch stuff or whatever, but I'd like to get someone on that knows the whole thing before, after, uh, why Kennedy? Because is there a theory that the limo got the like the
destroyed
di
after.
no,
Yeah.
not directed. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh yeah, yeah. They changed the route
Yeah, that
beforehand,
was
and
it.
then
Yeah,
yeah.
that
I
seems very
mean, suspicious.
suspicious. I don't know if that's 100% fact, but I know there's definitely a theory that the
Yeah,
limo got directed on a different route. But it all plays down to a huge conspiracy, and
yeah,
I want to know. And as I said, I'd love to speak to someone more, and if there's anyone out there that's listening and knows lots more about it than us, I'd love to for
yeah.
them to come
Come
on,
tell us.
yeah, and we can have a very long discussion and let them go off onto their tangents and give us and our listeners some knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Yes. So JFK.
Until next time.
Till next time,
See ya.
eh? Yeah.